Good morning, grade 6. Hi, boys. I hope you are all well. It's been a long, long time since I've connected with you, right? After 1 month, you are hearing my voice. This is your social studies and Qatar history teacher, Miss Joel, once again back to teach you a lesson online. I hope you are all doing well, keeping good health, and looking after yourself during this crisis. And I hope all of you are safe from the dangerous coronavirus and you are not going here and there or wasting time, right? Now, before I begin my lesson, there are a few things I need to talk to you. First, I would like to thank all the boys who are participating in the Edmodo online program and who are taking trouble to do the assignment. It's good. At the same time, there are some boys, a few boys, one or two boys, who haven't yet done justice to the assignments that have been given to you. Another issue that I face is that I have noticed that many of you are referring to Google for the answer. Tell me, why do you need to refer to Google when I have taken the trouble to make a PDF format of the lesson, of the textbook, of the practice book, or whatever information I want you to answer, I give it to you in the text in the PDF form. So I expect you to read those textbook pages and answer it. And I don't want the Google answers because those Google answers are not what we really need from the question that I've asked you. So please, children, I want you to focus while you are doing your work. And if you have an issue in answering the question, I would be happy if you message me. You can message me in Edmodo, a private message you can send me, and I will get back to you and I can help you out. So please do not use Google. And if you need to use Google, I will definitely mention in my assignment that please refer to Google. All right? So next time, and remember, children, you need to do these assignments and quizzes, online quizzes that I have assigned to you because these online quizzes, these assignments carry marks, and these scores are entered into your report card into the system. So if you don't do well, if you don't complete assignment on time, you know what is the consequence, right? And you don't want low marks in your report card. So I would be happy if you would participate wholeheartedly and do your work well. Ready? So now let's begin our lesson. We come to chapter 10, which is called Ancient India. Lesson 1, Indus Valley Civilization, Day 1. I divided the lesson into two parts, day 1 and day 2, because it's a very long lesson. And I want you to focus only on one part of the lesson nicely and for you to understand. Now, coincidentally, this lesson is very, very interesting. I'm very excited to teach you, basically because I happen to learn the same lesson as a major part of this lesson when I was in grade 5. So there's a lot of connection to it. And secondly, this lesson has got a lot of geography in it, which is also my favorite subject, and I love geography. So I am excited to teach you this lesson. Now, before we begin this lesson, I would like to start with the objectives of this lesson. Let's start with the objectives. The objective of the lesson is we describe the location and features of the Indus River Valley, to explain how the Indus River supported the growth of India's early civilization and city-states. Okay, let's unlock the vocabulary and find out the meanings. The first word we learn is subcontinent. So by hearing this word subcontinent, we automatically understand that this word is a part of the word continent, but it's called subcontinent. So the sub means is a part of a continent. What is a subcontinent? Let's look at the picture. You will see, miss, this is a map of India. Yes, India is known as a subcontinent. Now, why is it called a subcontinent? Let us see. What is a subcontinent? A subcontinent is a large area of separated land from the rest of the continent by geographical features. Now you'll say, what is a geographical feature? Geographical features are land, mountains, seas, right? This will come under the geographical features. So here, India is separated from the major continent by high mountain range. Can you see in the northern part over here? The Himalayan mountain range will begin from the northern part of India and runs towards the eastern part. So this mountain range separates India from the rest of the continent. The Himalayas, the tallest mountains in the world, separates the Indian subcontinent from the rest of India. Next word we see is monsoons. The moment you see the word monsoon, look at the picture on the screen and you can see, what can you see? You can see rains, you can see floods. So monsoon is something to do with rains, yes. Okay, monsoon is seasonal wind. A monsoon is a periodic wind, especially in the ocean, in the Indian Ocean and Southern Asia. So the monsoon wind, okay, the monsoon is seasonal winds. They blow during a particular season. And this is mainly experienced in Asian countries because this is for a short, this is for the periodic is for a long period. Like there are like many countries in the world do experience rains, but it's only for a short time, it comes and goes. But in India and other Asian countries, they have the monsoons for a particular period from 3 to 4 months in a year. So this is called a monsoon period. So in fact, most of us like we consider that a particular season, the monsoon season, because it's for a long period. Next we have the word citadel. What do we mean by the word citadel? A citadel is a fort-like structure. Inside the walls were government buildings, palaces, religious buildings, and granaries. Okay, yes. Citadel. Can you see? This fort-like huge structure was called as a citadel. But today, if you look at a citadel, it's something different. It's much more grand and beautiful to look at. Now, here we are talking in connection to the Indus Valley civilization. The next word you have is granary. What is a granary? A granary is a place for storing food grains. Okay, let's look at these two pictures. This is a picture of a slide I got on Google, and these pictures are from Google, no doubt. Okay, now in the early days, we're talking about a period around 3000 BC. Around that period, we are talking about. During that time, the people they mind, they innovated so many things. They made so many things for them to live a comfortable life. Now, most of these people were farmers. So when they are farmers, they produce food grains, they produce crops. Now, when the food grains are ready, what do they do with the food grains? Food grains, they need to store it. So how do they store? They store it in places called granaries. Now, their granaries are different from what today we see. Granaries are like huge houses where it's covered with hay and stored over there. But at that time, the largest building found over there were the granaries, which were 150 feet long, 70 feet wide, and 15 feet high. Okay, they were divided into 27 compartments in 3 rows. They were well ventilated so that the grains would not get rotten inside. So they were made in such a way, this granary, so air would pass through the grains and the grains could be stored for a long period of time. Okay, so now we go to the topics of the lesson. The first topic of the lesson is the Indian subcontinent. As I told you earlier, okay, you learned what is a subcontinent, right? So India is known as the Indian subcontinent. Now, if you look at the map of India, clearly shows you the Indian subcontinent can be divided into the fertile northern plains and the Deccan Plateau region. Okay. Now, if you look at this, you see three colors. You have dark green area, then you have the light green area, and you have the yellow. Now, this yellow portion is a major part of India, which is called as the Deccan Plateau region. That means this is like a plateau region. There are many hills. Plateau, you know what's a plateau? Plateau is as high as a hill, but it's got a flat top, like a table. It's got like a table top. Here it is light green as a northern plains. Now these northern plains are supposed to be very fertile plains because the rivers, the rivers that flow from the Himalayan mountains passes through these places and empties themselves into the seas. This is called the Bay of Bengal and this is the Arabian Sea. So the rivers flow into these, flow from the mountain through the different states of India and go into the sea and making the land over here fertile. Therefore, in the northern parts of India, you have a lot of green fertile land, a lot of farm, a lot of agriculture takes place over there. The snowy peaks of the Himalayas feed the rivers in the Indus River Valley. Himalayas feed the river means the Himalayan mountains, as I told you, are the highest mountains in the world. These mountains are always covered with ice. But then during summer, certain amounts of snow starts melting. And when the snow starts melting, what happens? The snow starts melting, it starts becoming to water. And when the water flows, it flows down the mountains, forming rivers, and the rivers take different shapes, different sizes, and they move into different directions. But eventually, remember, all the rivers and all the water bodies flow into a larger water body. So these rivers go, as I told you earlier, goes into the sea, that is the Arabian Sea, and the Bay of Bengal, which is in India. The present day countries of Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh make up what was ancient India on the Indian subcontinent. Okay. Now, once upon a time, that was before the freedom, before that 1947, Pakistan and India were all one country. Ancient India. Okay, that's what they were, ancient India. But after the 1947 India got independence, all these countries separated. What is a subcontinent? As I told you earlier, we did the vocabulary. What is a subcontinent? Let us recap it. A subcontinent is a large area of separated land from the rest of the continent by geographical features. The Himalayas, the tallest mountains in the world, separates the Indian subcontinent from the rest of Asia. So you can see the map of India, you can see Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and you can see China. But here, this light portion over here are the Himalayan mountain ranges, and they look so, so beautiful. The two great rivers of the Indian subcontinent. The two great rivers of the Indian subcontinent are the river Indus and the river Ganges. Okay, or the Ganga. Okay, they're called the Ganges, or we call it the Ganga River. And you can see the mountain over here, the Himalayan mountain, how beautiful. Okay, and these rivers, the main river is River Ganga, which flows towards the east, and then you have the river Indus, which flows towards the west. They lie in the northern plain regions. Both rivers have their source. Source means they begin in the snowy peaks of the Himalayas. The Indus River Valley offers the best condition for agriculture on the Indian subcontinent. Let's just recall the map that I showed you earlier about the three different colors, the dark green, the light green, and the yellow portion, the Deccan Plateau, the northern plains, and the northern mountainous regions, right? Now, we are talking about the light green portion. The Indus River Valley offers the best condition, means because the rivers flow. Now, what happens when the rivers flow? Does the water just keep flowing in? The water keeps flowing. But what happens when the water flows? When the water is coming from a high from a great height, it keeps falling down, right? So now when it keeps flowing down, as it's coming to the flat land, what happens to the force of the water? The force of the water starts becoming lesser and means slower and slower. And as it reaches to the base, the water literally just flows calmly. That's why when you see rivers, the water is just flowing. But what happens when the water, when it's reaching the ground? The river, as it's flowing, it carries it with a lot of rocks and silt, which forms silt. You know, the rocks keep breaking, erosion is taking place, and by the time it reaches the ground surface, it forms silt. This silt is deposited at the banks of the river. Banks of the river mean at the side of the river, making the banks of the rivers fertile soil. So it's fertile, and that fertile soil is good for agriculture to grow different types of crops. Its fertile plains are ideal for growing crops and raising animals, leading Southern Asia's first civilization from there. So, the one of the first civilization that formed in Southern Asia was in this region. Because of the fertile crops, because of the fertile land, people started growing crops, and then because of that, they started staying in one, like we learned in the earlier, the ancient early man. Once they started agriculture, they started staying in one place for a long period of time. Then they started domesticating animals, right? So slowly by slowly, they started their civilization started from there, and then it started increasing and multiplying. Importance of flood. Now, why are we talking about flood? Okay, now we are talking about rivers. Now, rivers also, on some occasions, experience floods. You know what is floods? Floods is when the river water, the level of the river water increases. Now, what happens when the level of the water increases? The water starts coming to the top, and if the pressure of the water is more and it cannot contain itself into the river, the water flows outside the river onto the banks of the river, and then it keeps on collecting, and the force of the water is more and more, and there can be various geographical conditions which increases the force of the water. It causes floods. So now, what is the importance of floods? Floods can be good as well as it can be bad. Let us read the slide and understand it better. Agriculture began in ancient India in the Indus River Valley around 4000 BC. My God, that is really, really so many thousands of years ago. Sorry. Each year, for thousands of years, the Indus River flooded, leaving silt along its banks. Early farmers grew such crops as rice, peas, and barley in the fertile soil and raised livestock, including sheep, goats, and cattle. So once, as I said earlier, once they started living in one place, they started forming their own civilization. They started like forming villages and staying over there. They started looking after animals, and they made the river valley area their homes. The Indus River and other rivers often flood during the summer, monsoon or seasonal wind. So during the summer monsoon or seasonal wind, that is called, the Indus River tends to flood. I will explain this in the next slide. This wind from the Indian Ocean blows over the Indian subcontinent, bringing heavy rains. In winter, these winds reverse. Reverse means change direction. The winter winds bring little rains because it comes from dry inland areas of Asia. Before I go to the next slide, I will just explain this picture to you. Here you can see the three different boxes. The first box tells us India began along the Indus River, which flooded and left behind fertile soil. Okay, you can see the brown color in the key showing you that this is the Indus River Valley. Indus Valley civilization. Seasonal monsoon caused summer rains and flood. Now the blue arrow over here, this is what it's calling as, yeah, this is what it indicates, seasonal monsoon, cause summer rains and floods. Now here this box talks about India. The people were well protected on the Indian subcontinent by the ocean, mountains, and desert that surrounded the Indus River Valley. So over here, the Indus Valley was supported by they were protected by the sea, they were protected by the desert over here in the northwestern part of India, and in the northeast and in the north and the northeastern part of India, you have the mountains. So this civilization was protected naturally by the sea, the desert, and the mountain. Let us go and understand about the seasonal monsoon in the next slide. Summer and winter monsoon in the Indian subcontinent. Okay, now we remember the earlier slide we spoke, this is the Indus Valley civilization which is protected naturally. How? By ocean, the Arabian Sea on the west, the Thar Desert, natural, the geographical feature, and the Himalayan region. Okay, now let us look at, okay, that is that you understood. Now the next one, let's look at these arrows clearly. First you see the blue arrows and then we see the yellow arrows. Now the blue arrows indicate the monsoon summer. The yellow arrow indicates the monsoon winter. And let us talk about the monsoon summer. First thing, when you talk about summer, what comes to your mind? How is the temperature? Temperature is hot. Very good. Temperature is hot. So during summer, okay, the temperature is hot in these parts of Asian country. It is warm. It is hotter than the sea. Now, during this period, wind starts blowing. During the period from June to September, you can say, the wind starts blowing from the Arabian Sea, from the Indian Ocean. They blow over the sea from the south, from the southern hemisphere, they are blowing towards the northern hemisphere. As they are blowing towards the northern hemisphere, they are crossing over land. And which land are they crossing? They are crossing from over India. Okay, they are called as the southwest monsoon winds. So now when they are crossing over India, these winds that are blowing from the south are blowing over the ocean. When they're blowing over the ocean, they are absorbing water vapor, right? They're absorbing the water moisture from the ocean. And these clouds are becoming heavier and heavier with water vapor inside. Now, when they are crossing over the land over here is very warm. It is hot. The clouds have got a lot of water moisture. This is hot. Two different temperature. So when they blow over India, what happens? The water vapor in the clouds becomes so heavy that they cannot retain it and they come down in the form of rains. Now these rains, they blow from the southwest to the northeast of India. From here, they go towards the northeast. But they cannot go further on. Why? Can you tell me? Yes, they cannot go further on because of the Himalayan mountain regions. The Himalayan mountains are very tall. And they're not only one mountain, there are 7 to 8 ranges of mountains. And it's wide, huge mountains. So these mountains are like huge walls in the north. So it blocks the rain from going further. Now, when it blocks the rain from going further, what happens? These areas in the northern part of India receive very, very heavy rainfall. And therefore, the land also over here is very, very fertile. Okay, so these are called as the monsoon summer winds. Okay, where they bring rains to India, most parts of India. On the other hand, during winter, that is from from November to Feb, around that period, the wind starts blowing from the continent, from the lands in the north. They move towards from the northeast to the southwest. Okay, they keep blowing from the northeast, they move towards the southwest, they keep moving. Now, when these lands move, when these winds blow, they blow over India, they call as a monsoon winter. Why? Because they blow during winter period. Now, these monsoon winds, that is the from, okay, it's written from October to May. These monsoon winter are dry monsoon winds because they are blowing over the land. But they also blow from the northeast. They also blow over the eastern parts of India, and sometimes when they blow over the Bay of Bengal, they bring light rain towards the eastern parts of India, but not heavy rain like the summer monsoons, right? So these are called as dry monsoon winds. I hope you understood what I said. In case you have not understood, you can message me and ask me. I will explain to you one to one. Flooding in the Indus Valley. Now, because of these heavy rains taking place, as I told you again, because of the mountains, the rivers melt, because of summer, river melting, the mountains, the rivers flowing towards the valleys, they get flooded, and a flood crosses the boundaries of the river, goes on the banks of the river, and spreads throughout, causing a flood. Now, these floods were good as well as they were bad. Flooding brought advantages and disadvantages to ancient India. Why did it bring advantage? What was the advantages? What was the disadvantage? The rushing rivers, now the rushing, when the rivers are flowing with great force, it could ruin the crops, drown livestock and people, even destroy villages. Can you see the picture where flooding is, where there are heavy storms here, the river, the water is flowing down, and here how flooding has caused the banks of the river to, water has covered the banks of the river, and houses and all which are in the path of the river in that area gets covered with water. They are destroyed. Animals cannot run for their life. They get drowned, they die. Sometimes even people die in the floods. But at the same time, these floods, when the floods take place, after the floods are stopped, after the water recedes, the floods deposited fresh silt. Silt is soil on the land, making the soil more fertile for crops. So this soil was so fertile that they could grow good crops in this soil. That is why we say it was an advantage as well as it is a disadvantage. So children, with this we come to the end of this part of the lesson. I will continue this lesson in day 2. I hope you have enjoyed it and you understood what I have spoken. And in case you have any problem, I would be happy if you message me and I will get back to you. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please let me know your views and I'll be happy to hear from you. Take care. Bye, boys.